a dream about you. You were right in front of me, in a white dress, staring in my eyes. I'm hooked to your smile, I can't deny it. I can't believe I'm crying, but I see this is true. You're the one for me. My heart is beating fast to the rhythm of your soul. And it quasi no bamba, inquisio yavuya.
Hi everyone, my name is Mrs Ntuli.
Hi everyone, my name is Donald Ntuli.
Alright, we're going to start with reading some cards and asking each other questions. So I'll go first.
Go for it, my love.
Whoa, okay, this is easy. The first one is, how long have we been married?
We've been married for 6.5 years now.
And what's the date we got married?
The 3rd of September, 2016.
Yay, okay. I've done my one.
Okay. This one is a share. Was there one thing that stood out about me to you that made you know I was the one for you?
Okay. I think for myself, what stood out is how you were always consistent. You're such a faithful guy. You never tried to sweet talk what you could do. You said you could do what you couldn't. You said you couldn't do. And when you said you'll do something, you were always consistent with doing it. And that for me was very, very important. And that's how I knew you're really the one, and how you loved Christ and you loved God above all else. I think for me, that's a non-compromise.
Yes.
So when I saw that, I was like, okay, he loves the Lord, but let's see the actions. And for me, the actions, I saw you consistently doing them. And that's how I knew you were the one for me.
Okay, wow.
And yourself?
So for me, the biggest thing was, of course, the first thing that I was attracted to was the smile. You had a beautiful smile that lit up the room. But what made me stay and just continue to say I need to get to know you better was I just felt a peace of God upon me. Just in talking to you, finding your relationship with God, your commitment to your church at the time, LM Church, and I felt a peace. That was the biggest thing for me. You love people, you care about people, and you just were a believer in whatever dream I had at the time. I was not at the best place in my life, and I never felt less than when I was around you. So for me, that was what made me think that, you know what, she could be the one.
Nice. Okay, I'll take the next card. Alrighty. Question for him. How did you propose to me?
So for me, the proposal was not already from this time we were getting to know each other, we were discussing marriage. We were talking about, because I always was a person I'm dating with intention. I did not want to date, and I always told her that I don't want my proposal to surprise you, because if we are dating and I ask you to marry me and you're surprised, it's like, what have I been doing the whole time? So that already prepared for her. I think she knew I was vetting her for a wife, and I think she was vetting me for a husband. And so from that point on, then we decided to be special friends, which was like friends with reservations, knowing that we are going to become a couple at some point, and when we become a couple, we're going to get married at some point. And so also culturally, I think that's the question I always ask is, but at what point in the black community do you ask someone to marry you after lobola or before lobola, so all those things? So I would have to seek permission for me to send a letter to her family. So I was like, babe, just forget this surprise thing. This is not gonna happen. I need to just send the letter, and to send the letter, I need the address, Yeah. So I think it was, we set a date for ourselves. We would love to get married on that date. We would love then to engage our families on that date. Okay, this is the letter, this is how you're going to send it, and all of that. Now, the weekend before we got married, just because I knew TV, movies, she would have loved the whole will you marry me thing. So we went out for dinner after buying all our suits. I think it was a few things that were left. It was like, okay, let's just have dinner. While we were there, and I just went down on one knee, and then I said, will you marry me? So I think there was a little bit of an element of surprise there, because she didn't see that coming.
I really didn't see that coming, and I would rate it, I think, a 9. Because I'd really given up, because you were so clear. I'm not proposing. It's the Western thing. But that day we went to, it was in Brooklyn Mall.
Bugatti, yes.
Bugatti is one of the restaurants we actually liked, but it's no longer open.
Now.
Yeah. So you went there, and I think we were eating, and you just went out on your knees, and I was like, what's happening? I was so shocked. I think I screamed. I was like, yeah. I don't even remember what you said when you're on your knee.
Yes.
But I was so surprised because I wanted it, you didn't, and it showed me how much you're willing to compromise and sacrifice for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm giving it a 9. Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is a question for both. Explain to us how my family received you, and how did that make you feel? How is your relationship with my family? So you answer that first, then I'll answer after.
Oh, yes, your dance family. I love dance family. I really do. I think when I first met your sisters outside your friends,
Yes.
I met your sisters because I need accommodation, blah, blah, blah. And they were so warm, so lovely. And sometimes you get scared because you think, yo, what if they don't receive me well? But they were so lovely, so warm. I enjoyed myself. And I'm even now, your sisters, if you see us, you wouldn't think I'm the Makoti or I love them to bits. I think they're just the best. And that's the love I've received, and they've made it easy to love them back because they're so loving. And when it comes to my mom, Mama, the first time I met her, I was so nervous. I didn't even know what to wear, and you were like, I should wear this dress. But I'm like, no, what if it's too short? She won't like me, you know. But I met her, and that day she was so welcome, and I was so stressed because I don't know Xhosa, I'm so too. But she was so loving, and she actually welcomed me and was like speaking English with me, so I felt comfortable. And I remember her, I think the first time I met, she's like, pray for your family, you know. And that's how Mama is, you know. She's so loving, so God-fearing, and she was just like, pray for your family, you know. And I immediately was like, okay, I want to be in this family when I met Mama. And it's been the same ever since. When she comes to visit, I love having her around, you know, because I feel like she treats me in such a way that I don't feel like an outsider, but I feel like part of the family. I feel like I can be who I am. I can laugh as loud. I won't be judged, you know. I'm not the best cook, and she loves me. She loves whatever I cook, you know. They'll tease me, whatever, but she's so loving, and that's the relationship. And also the extended, they're also the same. So loving. You have your cousins, everyone. They're so loving that it feels like your family is actually quite loving. I'm happy to be in your family.
Thank you. That's well, for me, when I first met your family, I met them as a friend. And you have a lot of friends, male, female. You've always been somebody who has a lot of friends. I think because of church. So Mama had accepted that, the mamzo as we call it, that my daughter just has a lot of friends. So she never worried about anything. She knew all these friends are really true friends. They're like brothers to her. So when I first met her, I was helping her, I think, store some stuff. So she didn't have storage, I think, for the holidays and stuff like that. So then that's when I met her. So she just took me as one of those friends. She was just telling me, oh yeah, Pretoria guy, whatever. So please help her when she's done. So because I would love for her to work in Pretoria. Please help her find a place, a job.
Little did she know.
Little did she know that you know, this guy really also wants her to move to Pretoria. So. And the younger sister, Mpo, also met her. She was so young. I think she might have been in grade 8 at that time. And then she said, hi. And it was so peculiar because even just a couple of months after I met her, she was like, yo, I think you're going to marry that guy. So that was quite peculiar that she thought that far. And again, it's just that peace that we just had around each other. And then I would later on meet Auskinewe. Also, she always welcomed me. She, you know, then I would meet the brothers. Of course, they were a bit shy at the time, but our relationship grew. But of course, being a guy, also being traditional, you're not going to meet the man in the family that much. And I would then only meet, as we call him Daddy, I would only meet him much later on when all these lobola things were done. He's very laid back. He doesn't stress about anything, you know, so it's very easy to relate to. And only I think the shock came when the mums found out, okay, this guy wants to marry my daughter, and she was so shocked. You know, just as a mother, catching the umbilical cord, it's always going to be different reactions and everything. So of course initially, but I think she loved the fact that we did everything respectfully. We approached her pastor, and then her pastor approached her. You know, so all of that I think was helping her have more peace about it. And so when we finally got married and I could now sit in the same room with her and talk, and I found that she really, really loved me as a son, you know, so one of the many sons that she has, but I became like a big brother to the other ones. And so the relationship has been great. I feel like a king whenever I'm there. They dish out for me.
Yeah, you are.
You know, I feel like, wow, I'm deputy daddy when I'm there. You know, they treat me so well, and so I'm
You
always
are.
humbled when I'm there. I'm loved, I'm accepted. Even the distant family are not that close with your cousins,
Yes.
but I think our trip to Butsabelo was
That's good.
where I got to meet a lot of your aunts and uncles, and they also had accepted me. We had been married at that time 6 years, and so they'd never gotten any bad news. So I think they just thought, okay, this guy is a cool guy. If we never received any bad news, so they received me with warm hands. So I truly loved them too.
Yeah, no, sorry. Fun fact: my mom, before we got married, she would always tell my little brothers, "You must be like Don and Theo. You must be like Don." At that time, and you're like, "Don, I'm gonna get married to him." Just she didn't know, so she kept on saying, "Such good guys, such good guys." So she really, really thought the world of you.
Yeah.
So who's next? Is it me?
It's you that's next.
Okay. It's a shea card. 2 words to describe our marriage.
Oh, I
Yes,
okay.
you start.
2 words to describe our marriage. For me, friendship. The friendship. Thing is, I just want to find the right word, not a cliche word that just will fall in there. But the biggest one for me is, I guess, friendship and Christ. I guess those would be the
Okay.
2 for me. Yeah.
I think for me it's partnership. I have 3. Okay, partnership, joy, and love. Because you took friendship, but I'll take partnership. But partnership, joy, and love. Because that's really for me our marriage.
Partnership, joy, and love. Yeah. That encompasses, I think,
Yes.
what our marriage is. And with that joy, I think you are the bigger element of that. Everyone always says, yo, that smile. My family always tells me, make sure you do not take away that young lady's smile. So now the joy part, I think you are responsible for.
No, you are responsible. I would have been smiling if you were not giving me a reason to be joyful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take
I was saying to another friend while you're picking up your card, I'm like, it's so easy to be married. Sandra, who's my best friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so easy to be married to Donald because we are friends. So you respect me so much and you love me so much that I have no other choice but to just return it back to you. And I think that's why we have so much joy and friendship. Even on bad days, we're able to just be together, and come back together easily because we are friends, even though
there is no romance all the time.
Yes,
The
even though
friendship is there.
the friendship is always there
for those gaps.
Yes, so even when I see something, the first person I want to share is like, "Oh, see," because you are my friend, and that's our marriage for
And
us.
I think because we started for a big foundation of how we started was the friendship. And I think for me, receiving, knowing you had a lot of guy friends, I just knew you are just a friend. Because if somebody has friends, it means they are a good friend of themselves. So I think that has been a good thing to maintain through it all. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, this is another share card too. Name one sad highlight that stands out for you ever since we've been married. So one sad highlight for you.
Sad highlight. I think for me, the one sad highlight is when you failed that year.
Yeah.
At
2016.
2016, and we had just gotten married, and I think you failed that year, and you were so hopeful, and you failed that year. So that was a sad, because I saw how it affected you, and I can only imagine as a guy, you feel like, oh no, I had a plan, so that was sad to see you go through it, and you went through like a day or two where you were very closed up and I think you were trying to process it all, so that was a time for me that was sad, but yeah, then 3 days later we're able to talk more about it and come up with a plan, and figure it out. It's not the end of the world, go back, we'll make it. And yeah, I think that's one day for me that was a bit sad.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. I think that moment, it came right in our honeymoon phase. We were
Yeah.
just 3 months married. So the hope for us was let's get married even though we're still in school or I'm still
Yeah.
studying, doesn't matter, God will provide. Actually, I'm going to be so blessed, God is just going to help me pass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was this high hope for me, and it had been a long journey already at that point with my studies. And so to disappoint your wife because you know she's been rooting for you, she's been a supportive girlfriend, a supportive fiance, and now a supportive wife, because that year financially was also a bit challenging for me, but we just were like, you know what, we don't mind, we're gonna go through it. And so that for me was the biggest thing. Learning that I'm not gonna be able, or my ability to provide is going to be affected. So that was a big knock for me, but you helped again, and I didn't want to go back, but you helped me, you encouraged me to find the strength to go back. So yeah, so from that sadness, we were able to still come out at the end.
Yeah, I think that's for me. Let's go to the next card. Okay, there's a share card as well.
Yes.
Okay, name 3 best highlights that stand out for you ever since you've been married. 3 that stand out. Okay?
Okay, 3 that stand out for me was ever since we married, so I can't mention the wedding days.
I also thought the wedding day.
Yeah. I'd have to say, okay, 1, we are married, so it has to be the honeymoon. So that was a standout moment for me, because technically we are married now. So the honeymoon was great. We had a lovely 4 days. I think it was just beautiful. And we're still humble beginnings. So even moving out of honeymoon, we're moving into a small place, and it was just. We still hadn't gotten a place to stay together because our contract was starting a bit late. So it was just that. And the second one, I think, was when our daughter was born, Ubuhle. So just watching that journey of, okay, we thought we were giving birth naturally. And, okay, C-section, sign all these forms. We have to go in. And now they're just poking here, doing all of this emergency C-section. So that was a big moment for me. In the marriage. And I think the third one has to be I think being able to get the house we have now, and not only that, because the process was getting the house and renovating and collaborating on a kitchen, living room, bathroom design project that we collaborated on, and it helped me appreciate her input on design, even though prior to in our marriage it was always, I'm the designer, she's the boring accountant. But in that, what I learned was that at the end of the day, it doesn't help, because design has to be financed. We've always known this as designers, but our dream with these dream clients is we're going to get big budgets. But the reality is that there is no big budgets. To be a great designer, design within the sandbox, play within the sandbox that you've got. If you keep on making excuses, no, I can't, I'm not practicing as an architect, the architecture I want because there's no budgets, that's just an excuse. You've got to react not only to your geographical context, but to your economical context. And so she really taught me a big lesson in that. And we love the product that we ended up getting. I compromised my design, but we didn't have a lot of debt. So that was a beautiful thing, that we didn't have this thing hanging over us. Following that, now we've got a beautiful kitchen and a bathroom, but the debt and one biggest thing for us is we try our best not to have financial struggles, to try and live within our means.
Yeah, this is hard because you've said all the stuff I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think the birth of our 2 children, so I'll separate them to get 2. I think Buhle and Zippo, I think, it's it's one of those moments the best highlight ever.
Yeah.
And I think us just, even our first car, because it showed we are growing. I mean, we got married, we had so little. We actually laugh at how did we survive?
Yeah, true.
We look at ourselves now like, dude, how did we survive with so little? But it shows how God is able, to give you wisdom to live with what you have and to provide for us, because we actually never lacked. We were covered. I think birth of our 2 kids, maybe when we got the car, maybe we got the house, when we take holiday trips. I think for me, I love traveling. He's not more of a traveler, but when we travel to go like Cape Town and to go on boat cruises, I love boat cruises. So for me, those are moments, highlights as well. to add on to what you've said. Okay.
Okay.
I think it's your turn, my love.
It's my turn now. Okay. There's also another share card. Okay, what's something you wish you understood before entering marriage? What advice would you give your younger self?
Ooh. Okay, that's a good question. I think one of the things I learned when I got married, and I learned it from Donald, I came from, the example you said is important to your kids, right?
Yes.
So I came from a house that was, there was a bit of shouting, a bit of, and you taught me when we got married about conflict resolution, how we can talk things without raising our voices and communicate effectively, and it's one of those things I value from that I learned when we got married. The other thing I want to say is the importance, I don't know if this is PG, but the importance of sex in a marriage. I think that's one thing that as a young person getting married, I don't think I really understood it, and this I'm sharing because I think it can help someone else, watching this podcast, that this video, that one thing I wish I had prepared more is for sex. Mentally, and because you, for so long, you're such a Christian girl, sex is wrong, sex is taboo, so your mind all of this time is conditioned, sex is bad, sex is bad, and in a swish, in a day now, sex is good, sex is, so you have to do that shifting. And I think for me, that's one thing I wish I had prepared for marriage. And that's what I would advise young girls, especially, that you shouldn't have sex before you're married, right? But do not now make it the villain already in your mind, that it's bad. No, sex is good in the right context of marriage, right? But I think for me, that's one thing I would really like to share, because that was something I needed to learn more, when I got married. I think those two things for me: communication, sex.
Yeah, for me, it's so difficult to say one thing I wish I knew before marriage, because I was such a fan of marriage that from age 13, I was praying for a wife. My mom always told me, pray for your wife because you want to have the right wife. You want to build a good family for yourself, because they had built a good family, my mom and father. So it makes it easy it made it easy for me. So I always understood I've got to prepare, I've got to read, I've got to understand some of the things for women. And even when you speak about intimacy, I understood that women, that's not, for the most part, it's not really the strong area. Some of them, because they've been waiting, because it's been something that, so I already even mentally knew that this might be a challenging season, right? Just to get your wife on board, right? So for me, I guess the biggest one would be just to be more understanding, I guess. To be more understanding and understand that communication, we communicate differently. I think... and we do things differently. And I already knew that, right? But it's just to say, okay, now you're in marriage, apply it. So for me, a lot of the things I already knew, it was just, okay, now how do we apply this, right? Because it's at the end of the day, I still have to die to myself. There's things that I want to do. There's ways that I want to approach life. I'm not always right. I think maybe that would be the biggest one. Knowing that I'm not always right, and I've been blessed in the sense that I've allowed you to say, okay, that decision you can make, or we'll follow your way, and we've benefited both of us. So I guess for me the biggest one is allow your wife to really influence you, because if she agrees with everything that you say, it's not going to help the whole lock and key situation.
Alrighty, let's go to the next card. This is also a share card. Did your partner tick the boxes or meet the expectations you had for the person you wanted? This is a share card.
Yes, I think for me, a lot of the boxes were ticked, really. A lot of the boxes were ticked, and some of the boxes, I think those were things that I never even was looking for, but I just found that I got. I would have, in my mind, I was not envisioning somebody as jovial as you are, somebody as easy to assimilate into my family as you became. I was anticipating something that would be a bit challenging, naturally so, because just different people, different cultures, different backgrounds, you know. So I thought that would have been harder, and then you tick that box much easier. Somebody who would really love my family like that. It's not what I was praying for, but it's a good thing to have. And yeah, a lot of the boxes for me, I think, are ticked and beyond.
I think that's the thing as well with me. You ticked all the fundamental boxes, everything that, you know, being Christ-like, being loving, being smart. I think Donald's one of the smartest. I just love hearing you talk. You know, I love, you're so smart that I just love hearing you talk, you know, so you ticked. And some of the stuff were not even a box for me, but later I was glad. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know to think of that.
Yes.
You know, you're such a great father, you know, such a great leader, you know. So it was one of those things like, wow, I couldn't have even dreamed of this because I never even had it growing up, you know. Such a great example of being a dad, being so available for your kids, you know. So yeah, yes, so you ticked my boxes. But there's something you like saying, and I always think it's so. There's compromise something. There's beauty in compromise. What do you like saying?
I think there's beauty in compromise. I don't know if
Yes.
I still remember it.
Yes, but I think there's something you like saying. I just can't remember it.
Yes.
But I think that's so important as well, is to accept and understand
Yes.
that no one is perfect.
Yes.
You know, to look for
There's
perfection.
beauty in accepting.
Yeah, there's beauty in
beauty in
accepting, you know.
Because a lot of people, I think they you find some couples that they complain about the same thing about their spouse. They're like, you've been complaining about this for a year. I think it's time for you to make the shift, because clearly your spouse is not changing in this area.
Yeah.
So you need to change your attitude, because you can keep complaining. He doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. And for me, a lot of the other smaller things, non-fundamental issues that I had, I said, look, Chief, just change your attitude about it. Forget that. Take it out of your expectation. We are not at a buffet here where you can just get everything you want. And even every buffet doesn't have everything. I remember the first time I went to a buffet, I ate crocodile for the first time. I'm like, wow. So I went back to that particular buffet chain, but this day they didn't have crocodile. So you can't always have everything. So for me, there's things that I remember telling a friend of mine, she's like, oh, this and that. I was like, yeah. So I really don't get this and that in the marriage. Like, wow, no way. I'm like, look, I'm happy. I'm happy because I'm not going to throw away the 95% just because I'm not getting the 5%. I'm just not going to be that dumb.
And that for me was very important when you said, because it's so important.
Yeah.
There's no one perfect.
There's no one
so you
perfect.
have to look for a perfect person. You might be looking forever.
That's the thing. You know, find someone close, you know, in fitting in with you.
And has the fundamentals.
The fundamentals. And I think a lot of people, we settle for the fluff, and then we come to the fundamentals. There's nothing. And it's a problem. Like even the way you deal with money, that's a big thing. You know, the way you approach debt, that's a big thing. And you are smart in that. You move like that. So why throw that away because you want a particular hairstyle or you want a particular body? I think for me, those things are not essentials. This one is a share card. What's the biggest challenge we have had to face as a couple?
Biggest challenge? I think for me, one of our biggest challenges that we faced was when our daughter was born. When Busha was born, it was during COVID. So lockdown started and Busha was born, and I couldn't go home. I think in our head we had a plan. I was going to go home to my mom. My mom was going to help me with the baby, teach me stuff. But that plan went out the window because of lockdown and all of that. My hospital being this side, all of those things. And I didn't want to change my
And she couldn't travel.
Yes, I couldn't travel. So that for me was one of the challenging times, because here's a new baby. I just had C-section. No milk is coming out. No breast milk is coming out. You working or something. I'm tired. I can't take care of the baby 24/7, you know. So having to find a schedule and having to find each other through all of that, through the hecticness of it all, I think for me that was one of the challenges that we had in our marriage when Busha was born. I don't know with your side, but...
Yeah, when I look back, really, I think that was the biggest challenge for us. It was uncharted waters. The best we were getting from people were WhatsApp voice notes and video calls, you know, do this, do that. And we had Google, we had YouTube. It was I think from the time we actually received the news that we were pregnant, I was not ready to be a father. At that point, I just felt I had a good father and I was prepared for it. But the older I got, the more I had certain experiences in life. I just started to fear bringing a person into the world and being responsible for them. And so I started to have negative emotions around that. And so from the time you were pregnant, I think for me the challenge started. And every day I saw the tummy get bigger and bigger. And then my business not doing so well. I'm self-employed. It just was more stressful for me. But the way God works through some relationships, and God was just like, man, consider taking a job. And a great friend and brother of mine, Batat, was like, no, look, we are looking to add somebody to our company. Consider this. And I did not, because I felt like if I take a job, I would be giving up on my dream of being self-employed and building my business. And that's what I've always been preaching since a teenager, that I'm going to be this successful businessman. But my guy was like, oh no, just check it out. And the wife was like, okay, babe, you know what, if you go over there, just hear them out. What's their offer? If you go over there and it's not what you expect, you know, maybe after 6 months we go back to chasing your dream. I'll be back at work, whatever. And I listened to her, even though I did not really want to do it. Now I'm in my 4th year at my job. I'm very, very happy. You know, so that's another instance of really listening to your wife, discussing with your friend, and having your friend give you advice, just like you talk to your guys. Hey, I've got this offer, I've got this. What do you think? And so she became the bouncing board for me. And what was a challenge molded me into the guy that I am now. And I'm grateful that challenge made us better.
Yeah, it really did. Okay. What advice would you have given to me before entering marriage? I think this is the one similar to the other one.
So I must give you advice.
Yes.
Advice I would have given you
To me. Personal. So it must be personal to you.
So it must be personal to you.
Yeah.
Prepare for intimacy. It's a big part of marriage. It is a big part of marriage. That's the advice I would have given you. For sure.
What advice would I have given you? I think for me with you is share more. I think you
Talk more,
share more, communicate more. You've done really well. You've improved. But I think in the beginning I had to like dig it out.
Yes.
How are you feeling? You know? But now you way better. But I think that's the advice. Communicate more. Even if you're feeling something, tell me, involve me in how you're feeling. Don't just give me the end product, what I think guys want to do.
Yes, you want to surprise your wife.
Yes, but talk to me and let's work through it together. I think that's the advice I would have given to you personally.
Okay.
But we've worked on that.
Okay.
Alrighty.
The last one. Okay, take this opportunity to share your appreciation for your partner. So for me, my appreciation is in the form of something small that I written down here. That's why I brought my phone. So I guess for me, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for accepting me as I am. Thank you for loving me and my family. Thank you for pushing me and supporting me to be a better version of myself. Thank you for following Christ and being a giver and a servant in God's kingdom. Thank you for joining Hartree's Church, because you know you've been part of 2 good churches. You know the way you come from, you have a good church. Even here at Elam, you still had a good church, so you could have very well came back to Pretoria and said, "Look, I'm going back to my church." So I think that made it easy for us. But it's something I put out even in dating, that non-negotiable. You have to move to my church. And I'm not saying this is a rule of thumb, guys. It's just because of the role I was playing in my church, moving would have been a bigger knock to the church than I think for her. She was already serving God, but it's just because she had left her home church, came to Pretoria. This was also kind of a newish church for her. So it's not a rule of thumb that always, but I think you weigh the options and look at the roles you're playing at your churches. Yes. And then the other one is thank you for being a great mother. Thank you for working so hard at your job, at your studies, and juggling that well with being a wife and a mom. Thank you.
Oh, Donald, you're so prepared. So I'm gonna wing it. Mrs Ntuli, mohatsaka, ke mo ratang ka pula ka kaofela. husband of my youth, outside family, the first man I've ever loved and given all of me to. You are a gift like no other. I love coming home to you. Or actually, because I work from home, you coming home to us. When you come home, everything is better. You know, I could have a hectic day, but having you around, having you just there even means the world. I sleep better at night with you. You are so important to me. I don't think it's a love that I've never I love you. You know, I'm grateful to have chosen you. I thank God to give me the wisdom to choose you, to say yes to you, to be faithful to you, to give my whole entire life to you. You know, it's easy to follow you because you lead with such grace and wisdom and love. You are always open to hearing me out, even if I'm wrong, even if I don't make sense. You listen to me and you're always open to what I have to say. You value what I say, which I appreciate. You're such an amazing father. I always say you were born to be a father. Every time I see you with Bushe and Zippo, it makes sense. It just works. You are so good. It comes so naturally to you. Comes so easily to you, even more easily than for me, I think, because you just do it so well. If I could, I would give you 100 babies. But 2 is all I can give. But you are such a great dad. You're such a great provider for us. You're always there. Yesterday I had to bother you, say, please get this on your way. And you had such a long day and I felt so bad, but you were able to do it for us. And that's who you are to us. You always come through. We can trust and depend on you. And that's such a powerful thing. Where I know our kids, once they are grown and are aware of things, they know they can depend on you. And that for me is one of the greatest blessings. I love you serve the Lord, you love the Lord. And I always say, you loving the Lord, I love it. God has to always be above even us, because if God is above us, then everything else falls into place beautifully, because I know He's the Lord and Savior of your life.
Amen.
But I love you, Korata, Kore, Upilu yaka. That's a sort. But that's it.
Okay, so thank you, babe. It's been great.
What you've done to me, I can't really explain it. I'm so into you. I really like what you've done to me. I can't really explain it. I'm so into you.
It's more than a flash, and I would've traded it all in orderly fashion. A villa in Florida, we crashing just off the shore, so you can hear when the water be splashing. The drop top 3 in a quarter, we dashing. The flawless diamonds in the border, we flashing. The money we ought to be stashing. I make sure every quarter be cashing. I can't really explain. My friends be thinking I'm slipping, these girls be thinking I'm tripping. What kind